Success in farming is all about precision and efficiency, ensuring every seed, every drop of water, every nutrient and treatment counts. TerraPlex Ag is helping farmers all over Iowa and the Midwest do just that. With precision ag drone technology and support from TerraPlex, you'll boost your productivity and make timely and informed decisions, all while reducing your costs and increasing your profit. It's time to revolutionize your farming. Harvest the benefits with TerraPlex Ag. Visit TerraPlexAg.com.
Welcome to Williams and Blum on a rare Monday morning program. We are here live at the Wild Rose Casino Studios in Ankeny. Coffee is brewing. My name is Chris Williams. He is Brent Blum. We are presented as always by our friends at Mechdyne and the Mechdyne Corporation. We have a lot to talk about today. We got that crazy game in
oh my God, I'm still
Waco. It like that game did a number on me
and on all of us.
I don't know
I'm
if
not recovered yet.
I don't know if it says something about the mental state I'm currently in, but like oh my God, I couldn't sleep. We have a lot to talk about there. We need to figure out and let people know how to watch the Longhorn Network. So maybe Aiden, you could be working on that here in the next 15 minutes or so. You got that? Can you handle that?
I'll try my best.
Okay. We need to let people know how to watch the we don't steal from content creators.
That's gonna be a big hump for me then.
You're now a professional content creator. You can't be stealing
making those big bucks
from other content creators. The women stubbed their toe in Orlando. Jerome Tang just can't stay out of his own goddamn way. That's another thing I didn't let. I was planning on doing this on my own. We need to have the audio for Tang after the game when he's comparing himself to being Bruce Willis. Okay, so if you can have that would be great. We were planning on doing this last night, like we normally do, and Bloom was in an event that just went late, and so we just decided to do it this morning.
Do it live.
Yep, do it live this morning. Really funny story here. It ties Iowa State and it's Super Bowl week with Brock Purdy, and it also we can kind of promote the We Will thing on Wednesday night. So my hometown Clarinda A's have their annual banquet, which is like a really cool. If you're a baseball fan, specifically a St. Louis Cardinals fan, it's worth the trip to do once in your life because they bring back all these. Like,
where do they?
Ozzie Smith goes every year.
So for those who don't, the Clarinda A's, what is that?
It's like I would describe it as a semi-pro where college baseball players go to play in the summer. And it was a huge deal in the 70s and 80s. I mean, they've had over 50 to 100 Major League Baseball players, Ozzie Smith being the most famous alum. He comes back every year. Von Hayes lives in Clarinda now. Moved back. Then he really big time. I mean, Chuck Knobloch, the Bennis brothers. There's been a lot of, and I know I'm missing out on some of the most famous. I just can't think of them off the top of my head. But nonetheless, they had this banquet, like where to me the best part is the sports memorabilia that they have, and you can bid on. And they all, because of all their connections, and the Eberle family there has connections all over the country because of what they've done for all these big leaguers over the years. And they had a signed Brock Purdy jersey, which I know that you guys are going to have, or a helmet, right? You have a helmet at the We Will deal?
We're going to have both.
Okay. The Ozzie Smith bought the signed Brock Purdy jersey.
Ozzie Smith. The Ozzie Smith. In person?
Yes. I thought that was I thought that was really cool. Like that one Hall of Famer's buying another future Hall of Famer's jersey.
What's Ozzie Smith going to do with a Brock Purdy jersey?
Hanging up at his house.
But you said you got in a bidding war with Ozzie Smith?
Yeah, over a Braves baseball. I won.
It's that big independent media income that you're bringing in.
You bring in the Atlanta Braves with me, and it gets pretty dicey. I get pretty.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy? That Ozzie Smith was like, "No, I'm not. I'm not
getting that 13 jersey.
I am not letting anybody else take home the Brock Purdy jersey.
It's mine."
I thought that was.
I just love that he comes back to Clarinda, Iowa for that
every year.
So
he's never missed one, I don't think.
On the We Will thing, we still have about 25, 30 tickets left. But get those today if you can, folks.
How many left?
About 25 or 30 tickets.
Okay, good. We're making progress. How do I buy one if I don't have one?
WeWillCollective.com.
Okay.
You'll see the tab says signing day event. Would love to. But the good news is, for those of you out of state who want to be there, there's a way you can participate. We're throwing up today, probably today, about 20 different items for auction that anybody across the country can bid on. And this is some high level stuff too.
Cool.
So again, check that out. I will tweet it out later today with that link. But anybody around the country can bid on those things, and you can help our event from all over the country. And again, all of this supports 100% the We Will Collective and what we're trying to do. I just got word this morning, the St. Louis Battlehawks.
Yeah.
They provided, get this will be part of our live auction.
A little bit of a connection to that program.
A little bit of a connection.
Yeah.
The St. Louis Battlehawks are going to provide 10 tickets in the coach's suite at the game, on-field pregame passes for one of 2 games, plus potentially an autographed item from Rocco Becht included with that.
It's pretty sweet.
It's, one of a kind. Caw. I might bid on that myself.
I was thinking about, do you think I should get Anthony on a podcast and preview the XFL season?
There's gonna be a lot of Iowa State folks.
My pitch to him would be like, dude, do you realize that the natural fan base that you have built in, just Iowa State fans that would watch just because of you and
honestly,
your son?
guys, like we need a Battlehawks fan club here in Iowa. Because
why not?
What the Beck family has done for Iowa State, you guys don't even know. So we got to give them some love.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But yeah, so some tickets left. But again, check out, if you're out of state, some really awesome Iowa State centric items on our auction.
I'm emceeing the program, and I hope that Matt Campbell is prepared for hard questions. I'm going to roast his ass on Wednesday night.
I'm sure he's nervous.
That's coming up on Wednesday night in Ankeny, the old Cyclone Fanatic recruiting party. It's like we were the Big 8, and now this has turned into the Big 12 with Central Florida. A lot more lucrative, but a lot less rowdy.
It'll still be a good time. Complimentary Ames Lager.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
And complimentary Iowa State vodka drinks.
I need to stay away from that on a Wednesday.
Just FYI,
I can promise you that,
because it ties in, as I was reminded yesterday. Why would you buy Tito's when Tito's is made in Austin, Texas?
And they support Texas.
All right.
Do not buy if you're drinking Tito's right now. I hope you're not doing it right now.
Yeah,
it's 9:30 in the morning, for God's sake. But you're essentially a communist.
You're supporting Rodney Terry and his glasses.
We are presented, as always, by Mechdyne and the Mechdyne Corporation. You can check them out at mechdyne.com. That's spelled MECHDYNE.com. All right, we'll get to this game in Waco. It broke me as a human.
It broke everybody. I'm still broken.
Well, I'm not going to get into it too much. I did an instant reaction, and then I've done 2 guys named Chris. I want to hear your opinion, but it was one of those games where I just didn't feel like Iowa State should have even been in it, and then I felt like it was handed to the Cyclones on a silver platter, and they couldn't take it. And I give Baylor a lot of credit for that too. They didn't fold when their coach lost his damn mind. Iowa State can't make free throws, and that continues to be a big
problem.
And that's something that, especially Brent, when you are a team that's bad in the half court like Iowa State is, the reason they beat Houston, I think, is because they made free throws in that game, if I remember correctly. If they shoot poorly in the second half, they lose to Houston.
18 of 22 from the line in that game.
Yeah. So there is a correlation here on the big wins and the big lot. When you're bad in the half court, you're going to get fouled more, and that's what they do. And Baylor gave it to them, right? I mean, if Iowa State is just decent at the line, they steal one. Nonetheless, it was a situation where it really doesn't impact you at all, the loss. In fact, their metrics went up.
Yeah, outside of you want to win a conference.
Correct.
That makes things really difficult.
Yeah.
Well, not impossible.
Well, but you're really in damn good shape with
really
wins at TCU and Baylor, if that's your ultimate goal. But there was a lot that went on in that game. Scott Drew was ejected for the first time in his career, which seemed really, listen, I am a Scott Drew honk. I understand this, but and he is whiny. He does all that. I get, he's always been that way. That was pretty weak ejection, I thought. and then they get that other technical on the bench.
I still want to know what happened with that.
Like, who said what?
I mean,
like,
how either you said something really dumb or that was super soft.
All I know is I've seen coaches do a hell of a lot more than Scott
even
Drew
the coaches
did.
are like, huh?
Well, we'll take it, right?
Did you do it? Yeah.
And in the whole, you come back and you take a 7-point lead after a 20-0 run. Like, it was just freaking crazy. And then the Momcilovic gets the shot and he makes it. And it's this iconic moment. And then it gets taken away. Where do we start?
Let's just start in the first half, because that's where the game was honestly lost for Iowa State. And we've seen this now a couple of times when Iowa State's not turning teams over, and Baylor, I think, only had 5 turnovers in the first half, which was a credit to them. They've got really good guards. And the Baylors and the BYUs of the world are the teams that could give Iowa State problems going forward because they have multiple guards. They generally took care of the ball, and then they shot it great. And now you've seen now in Iowa State's losses, when you're able to move the ball, find open shots, you're going to get open looks if you don't turn the ball over.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought Baylor did a great job of moving the ball, making Iowa State move on defense. And then secondly, which I did not anticipate, is when Baylor missed a shot, they attacked the glass. And 10 offensive rebounds was a lot against an Iowa State team. That's where Iowa State's been great all year long. So is that a huge problem in not going forward? Because I think Iowa State can clean that up. So you get to halftime, and it felt like Baylor was in a pretty comfortable spot. And then the Keyshawn Gilbert goes nuts during the stretch to keep Iowa State afloat, which was awesome to see.
And he hit that huge shot at the end of the first half, too, which really
gave Iowa State some momentum.
Yeah.
That is great. Like, that's a huge plus, because if he can, now he's not going to do that every night, but he was the best player on the floor, and he's starting to become kind of that alpha of, hey, I'll take the ball. I'm good with it. And especially when Taman didn't play that great and Momcilovic wasn't as successful with some of his looks. But then that stretch was just crazy, like complete bananas, how that whole thing went down. I mean, there's no way Scott Drew wanted to get ejected. He turned around to his coaches, if you can be a lip reader, goes, I didn't mean to do that. Like, he was like, he saw ghosts. Like, what do I do? Like, do I just leave now? Am I supposed to exit? And then you get up 7 and you thought Iowa State's just going to run away here. But I give kudos to Baylor, made a couple big threes.
No doubt.
Dennis and Bridges stepped up and daggers. And then the free throw thing, it's a situation right now. You cannot have that on the road. C-Dub, the last 3 games for Iowa State. You ready for this? Free throws.
Am I?
Here we go. Well, let's do the last 4. It's a trend. The last 5 games. At BYU, 16 of 25, 64%. At TCU, 8 of 13, 61%. Kansas State at home, 27 of 39. Good God. 69%. Not nice. 9 of 18 against Kansas, 50%. And now 19 of 32 at Baylor, 59%. It's just not going to do it.
Conference games only. Where do you think Iowa State ranks in the Big 12?
Gosh, it's got to be last.
Dead last.
Yeah, I mean,
66%.
That's anything below 70 is bad. You just can't. And I know some of it's Rob Jones getting fouled a lot, which kudos to teams for fouling him, because he's just never going to be a great free throw shooter.
289th ranking on the entire season.
Yeah, it's just, if you're going to be in these games, you got to make free throws. And Iowa State knows this. They practice it. It's not like they don't. I mean, I always love the thing, well, they got to work. They're trying.
I love the tweets like, do they ever practice? Yes, they do.
Yes, they do. But Taman, Taman didn't have his best game again.
No.
And so he was really good against Kansas, but I just think in that spot, when you got your point guard on the floor, that's an area where he needs to make those 2.
I thought that Taman, I was surprised. I thought after the week off would look better.
Yeah, and
maybe he bounces back on Tuesday. I don't know. Maybe the week off was bad for him. I don't know.
And I think with Taman, he's the type of player that he's going to impact the game regardless, and he still does.
Yeah.
But it's just it hasn't been as productive offensively. He's going to be fine. But then, real quick, the end of game sequence was completely wild. And in my opinion, and this is not an excuse, because Iowa State, Baylor was the better team. And I can see why Mack Rhodes, their AD, when came out with that super strong statement, which...
Will he get fined like Jamie did?
He should.
Yeah.
You just can't go and do that.
Well, what was interesting to me about that...
Because what did he say again? Like, this is the game.
The game was so great, and the officials didn't match it. And
right. That's pretty strong, especially after a win.
Well, and it also, like, what was weird, it read like the Big 12 has league officials.
Yeah, which is
not like
true.
Football where you have the same group of guys. Like, So I think like a casual fan would be like, oh, the Big 12 doesn't the school hire the officials, or does the conference assign them?
The conference.
Whatever. Yeah. Like, there's no such thing as conference officials in basketball, and that's how a lot of people took it. Like, oh, well, why does the best basketball league have bad officials? Well, it's not really how it works.
Well, and those 3 guys are all NCAA tournament officials. They had a bad day.
They had a bad.
I don't know what was going on with the Drew situation, but
I had an Iowa State fan who was there text me, we're really lucky that these officials like to play the heel. Was the exact quote I got from my buddy.
Because if that situation happened in Hilton, oh my gosh.
I mean, they probably have to stop the game from stuff being on the court.
I can't even imagine what.
I've never seen that many Baptist Christians dropping F-bombs at the same time in my life.
So, a little behind the scenes. Apparently, Iowa State got things tossed on them on the way out, even after a loss. But real quick, we'll get into that. End of game situation.
God, Iowa State's just making enemies with everybody right now.
I guess.
Other than Bill Self.
What is going on?
Other than Bill Self. We're just huddling up with Bill Self in the corner.
Everyone's mad
and everyone else is the enemy.
Why is everybody mad at Iowa State? So, Baylor should have made the free throw. So they missed a bunch of free throws too, by the way. The free throw execution at the end of the game was not great. But that end of game situation, 1 point or 2 seconds on the clock, free throws missed. Iowa State gets the rebound, clock goes. In no way should that have been at 1.2. And I got that verified from some people who definitely would know.
So it should have been at 2?
If they were going to do that? No. So you allow generally 0.3 or 0.4 for a touch. Okay. So that should have been at 1.7 or 1.6.
So Iowa State should have got the shot off.
Yes, but what they screwed up, the ball should not have been on the sideline. It should have been on the baseline.
Really?
Yeah, because if you're and when I think it was Kurt Jones got that rebound, he grabbed the
ball.
Which
baseline?
On the far baseline.
Really?
Like it should have been a full court.
Yeah. Heave. Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I was gonna say what? Okay.
No,
that's what I was shocked when they gave it to him at half court.
Complete officiating malfunction there.
Okay, so I was right.
So
there.
not only should there have been 1.6, 1.7 on the clock, the ball should have been way on the other end, and Iowa State would have potentially not gotten the same look. It was a great play.
Yeah.
But I mean that the whole like arbitrary, we took 0.5 off here and then that didn't make sense. Like that's not how it should have worked. And I know that from somebody who very much would know that they screwed that up, which is like at Iowa State is like, well, yeah, that game was lost, not in the last 1.5. But it was interesting because Milan said after the game, I don't know if they realized it was only 1.2 because that was a lot to happen in 1.2. Like you had to have a lot go right to get that shot off, and it didn't go. But what a wave of emotions! I can't remember a time like that where you're elated and then crash back down to earth so quickly. Iowa State fans needed a Cody Road after that.
Yeah, that was hard because it was such a great shot and it was such a great
well
play.
Designed. Yeah, that was brilliant. I mean, that was all Nate Schmidt. I mean, he was the one in the huddle.
Oh, I'm sure it was Nate.
It was super well done, and credit for Milan to make that. I mean, that makes you feel good going into Texas. Like, hey, we didn't actually win.
Yeah, I'm a little bit weirded out on this Texas game. I kind of feel like Iowa State takes it out on Texas. I didn't like this game earlier, but in Texas is weird. They have 4 wins, 3 of them are on the road in the Big 12. Like they're a really.
Then they lose to UCF at home.
Yeah, they're a weird team. Like that, I can't put my finger on what exactly. But Texas is, and I'm still like that with Baylor. Like even after watching them, and they shot really well, and we all knew Iowa State's weakness defensively is the perimeter defense, the 3-point defense.
Yeah, if you're not turning the ball over against Iowa State, you're going to get good looks. It just that's the nature of the way Iowa State plays defense.
And Baylor hit all those shots.
They did. They made a bunch. They made
early
12,
and it gets you going. Yep. But I still like tournament wise, this Baylor team compared to these Drew teams in the past. I don't think they are.
Yeah, I thought their big guy played great, as good as he's looked.
Yeah.
The guards are good. I mean, I think Dennis and Walter and Britt, they're good. I don't see enough depth there. I would not buy them, although those guards could get hot.
Yeah.
In March, and they could make a run.
No
doubt.
One
of those streaky teams.
They're one of those teams that, they're shooting like that. They could easily get to the Sweet 16.
Totally. But I'm not buying them competing for the Big 12 this year. And Texas is very similar to Baylor. Not the size you're used to at Texas in the last decade. I mean, they've got some guys, but they're really, I mean, this is where the points come from, but they're super small. I mean, Tyrese is not big. Asmus is a tiny guy. So you would think between Gilbert and Lipsy and Jones's physicality, maybe you can get something going to the basket. I think Iowa State has a chance. Say this with a straight face. I'm going to shoot a lot of free throws potentially again.
Oh, God.
Better make.
Yeah. The last thing I would add to that is just to back up what you said. The Gilbert thing is really encouraging because
Absolutely. He's getting better by the day.
Well, this is going on the timeline that we kind of thought. I would encourage fans to go back and look. He had not played much basketball before he came to Iowa State.
Right.
I know that he, years wise, had been there, but he had fought injuries. He's hadn't played much, and he hadn't played at all at this type of a level. We thought that he would be playing his best basketball in February and March, and it looks to be trending that way. I'll say this again. I think that game without Lipsy will go down to be an important piece of the Iowa State season because Jones has been a different guy.
Yes.
Gilbert's been a different guy. And you wonder too, load management wise, if it's a deal you get closer to March and it's like maybe we sit down Taman for a day or I don't know, but it gives you that option now because Taman we had a couple people in the comments here who are watching us live on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, when you stream the Cyclone Fanatic podcast.
I wouldn't want to work either today.
No. Nancy asks, is Taman's shoulder still hurting? The answer is yes. He's been hurt. And I doubt that's just going to be a deal where, oh, okay, I feel 100% now.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be
a physical guy.
So keep that in mind. We'll get to the Texas game. I want to give a shout out to a couple of our great sponsors. We want to talk about the women's game in Orlando.
But yeah, just real quick on the officiating, those guys, I'm pretty confident will get
reprimanded.
I don't know.
Reprimand.
They're not going to get publicly reprimanded, but from all accounts, they did not have a good game.
I would also make the point that I've changed my tune. When Pollard went out and did the whole we're getting screwed thing after the Oklahoma State football game, I was just like all of you. In fact, we raised $10,000 for a charity to pay the fine or whatever.
That was 10 years ago. Do you know who played in that game?
It was Paul Rhodes. Yep. Was it or not?
No. So this it was Jared Barnett started it.
Yeah.
But
good point.
On the other side, do you know who had a kick return for a touchdown in that game? This is a deep pull for people.
Not Shaky Smith.
It wasn't Shaky Smith. Tyreek Hill.
Holy crap! Really?
Because
good pull.
Yeah, there was this guy's really fast. It's turns out, he was pretty fast.
I'm just not sure that these public ripping of the officials has the effect that these guys want it to.
I don't think anything good can come from it.
I was told that
other than
Curtis Shaw, the director of officials, he's a basketball one now, right?
Yep.
The one thing I just don't. I think this is especially true. I think you could back it in the high school ranks. All of these refs are friends.
100%.
So, you may think, oh, we're targeting these three idiots who are in Waco. But the problem is all those other guys are going to back them over they will you, Mac Rhodes. And so, when you're constantly a jerk, and this is what I always say about Fran McCaffrey, it's and Iowa fans want, why doesn't he ever get the benefit of doubt? Because he has an entire track record of his career of being awful to these guys.
Yeah, you don't chase down an official in a tunnel.
When you make them look terrible publicly all the time. There's a difference between grabbing them in the back and be like, dude, I really think you had a terrible day. Can we talk about this? And berating them. And I just don't believe anymore. And I did at my younger age, was much more of a hothead. I would have applauded what Mac did. And I really like him, by the way. I think he's a great AD. Sure. I think he's been phenomenal for the Big 12.
Yep.
I don't see this helping them long term.
And I don't think it helps the league either. I mean, again, like you said,
they're humans. Especially think about in the high school ranks, when these coaches are berating these guys making $50 a game, it's not a good thing for you.
No. No, and then that's the problem is I see the trickle down to even youth basketball now. It's like some people get after officials like it's like what if they're not. That's not.
I'll tell you,
normal.
this is a coach, and this is like you're a human.
Yeah,
and when there's one dad that's a pain in the ass all the time, do you think it's going to get your kid better treatment?
No,
like no, like it go the opposite way. You need to play chess with these people, not checkers.
And interestingly, you're seeing now in college sports, and this is now been in politics for a while. If things don't go your way, you just rally your people to attack the bad person, which it gets your people fired up and makes you like, hey,
but it doesn't necessarily help you win.
I don't know if that really like you're starting to see this like with the Tennessee situation in Florida State. It's like it's their fault. It's not,
Texas did that with the Big 12 for 15 years.
You're just I don't know if emotion is a powerful thing and if specifically negative emotion. So I understand why he was upset and why he felt the need to, hey, I'm going to stand up for my guys type of thing. I think that's what he said. But ultimately, is that the best way to fix it? Probably not. If I'm an official going, oh, I better be good today at Baylor or else Mac Rhodes is going to have a sternly worded statement after the game like that. These guys there are ways to go through the process, and I don't think that's the appropriate way anymore. But yeah, I agree with Rhodes. They had a bad day.
I totally agree.
But trust me, so does the supervisor know they had a bad day. Like it will get to these folks. I always remind people, even the worst thing I've ever seen was that game in Hilton against Kansas with the Elijah Johnson ran over George Niang. I don't know if people realize this. Those guys did not work another Big 12 game the rest of the year. And I don't believe they worked the NCAA tournament either because it was so bad. And now, did they ever share that? I don't think so.
No, because they understand like it's not to what do you want them to do? Put out a release. These guys suck. Here's their address.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You know, like they're trying to keep for a site called Cyclone Fanatic, this is very hypocritical, but they're trying to keep the fanaticism out of it and like just be cordial to these humans.
Exactly. And again, officiating, they
just like the players are, just like the coaches are.
They get paid well. They work too many games. I wish there was more accountability on the post game side. I think that definitely could help. It'd be kind of weird, but I think it could help because again, a lot of the problems with officiating from your I would say your casual fan, not people watching this or your diehards.
We have nuts. And I say that in a positive way.
You don't know the rule. Like they don't know what they're yelling about. And so it would be frustrating if you're an official and you're like, and somebody's asking you about something that's hey, you don't know the rule. Now, does that make you look like an elitist and like, oh, well, I would try and explain that to you, but that's the rule type of thing? I don't know. But I don't.
What's hard is when the guys who are supposed to know the rules don't know the rules.
Yeah, but then when you botch something like the end of game situation, or you have that super soft tech on the Baylor bench, which I thought was totally wild, then it doesn't help. But I do think what TJ's doing is smart, and I will add, and it might seem silly, but even Iowa State recognizing John Higgins,
it's not a bad political move.
It's not. I mean, these circles aren't big. Everyone saw
these refs are sitting there and their godfather is being recognized. You think that doesn't give them a little bit of a.
I know John, like Higgins was super appreciative because again, these emotions just like everybody else. And I think TJ's approach is really good. But Scott Drew had never been ejected. So it's like, he's usually pretty good. Now he's chirpy. It was just a bizarre game.
Yeah. He's just kind of whiny, like it. A lot like Tang. We all watch Tang, like Scott and Tang are the same guy basically on the sideline. They bitch about everything, but it's generally not like to the point where it's so egregious that you need it. So like when Fran McCaffrey does it, he's angry. He berates. Scott and Tang like do the just whiny, like they bitch about everything thing.
Yeah.
And they just are constantly leaning on you. Or it's different, but then you have like the demonstrative type Izzo, but Izzo's earned like
there's some of that.
Like and Bill Self gets calls that other guys won't because he's Bill Self, and is that right? Probably not. Well, but Roy Williams got that, and like
Self and Izzo, they know where the line is generally. Like they will But then once they get that first one, they'll be like, all right.
Well, that's why they don't get tossed a lot, because they're playing chess too. But they also know, like, Bill Self knows that he's in a stratosphere that Otzelberger is not.
Correct.
So he knows I'm Bill freaking Self.
Yeah,
so when I lean on this guy, it's going to mean something to a point where when it's your 5th year coaching, you don't have that behind you.
Yeah. It was
psychology, man.
And TJ's doing it. He hasn't earned that, but I think as a whole, this is the other somebody who was at the game told me. Baylor fans apparently were fairly wise. They started chanting Jamie Pollard's name during the technicals because they had thought that Iowa State buttering up John Higgins was the reason why Iowa State was getting the call.
Are you serious?
Yeah, apparently.
I actually give him a lot of credit for
job, Baylor, for that. But I thought that was kind of an interesting side note. I don't know.
That's an impressive job there out of there.
And again, I keep coming back to I would have loved to see Iowa State win, clearly. But holy cow, what an entertaining game. Like, that is, you can't predict what happened on Saturday, and that's why we keep coming back to the thing.
Want to thank our buddy Colin Newell. Colin will be at the event on Wednesday night, right?
Just got a note from that team. Jake Hummel signed up. Los Angeles Rams, Jake Hummel.
With Colin Newell?
Well, he's gonna
Bureau Financial Services?
No, he's gonna come to our event.
Oh, really?
Maybe Colin Newell represents him as well. That's I can ask.
I was gonna say, wow, Colin doing pretty well out there in the Los Angeles market.
Area,
Farm Bureau, Financial Services. I did something really interesting. I did the whole deal, the Driveology with Colin, where you get a break on your car insurance, but you got to have that thing in your.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
you're a lot of people would think, hey, you're a big race guy, like you're a big car guy.
Yeah, I am a car guy.
You're a very cautious driver.
I'm a good driver.
Yeah, like
I'm very soft on the brake.
I've always been impressed if you don't.
No, yeah. I don't feel the need. Like, my old man taught me this a long time ago. It's like if you're going somewhere that's 10 miles or 15 miles, and the difference between going 80 and 60, like, it really doesn't save you much time.
I was going to tell you that. Yeah.
Don't be late all the time, and you're going to be fine.
You were very, very cautious, reasonable driver.
Thank you very much.
I always felt safe in your car.
I appreciate that.
Not when I was driving with Dave Zavolinsky.
Oh my God.
He about murdered me.
If Dave Zavolinsky, former Channel 5 sports reporter, had the Driveology from Farm Bureau, they would strip him of his insurance.
They would put him in jail.
No, it's cool. You get this little tag, and then it can't hurt you. The only thing it does is the better you drive, you can see you're saving
savings.
money. It's like, oh, okay, here's a quarter. You want a quarter? Here's a quarter. Farm Bureau Financial Services. Sign up with our guy.
What's your
Colin Newell?
What's your drive score?
Well, I just put it in last week.
Okay, mine's 98. So
I was at 100.
Aiden's also a very good driver.
I've never ridden with Aiden. I won't. Oh, I'm at a 93.
Oh, that's pretty good. Keep going, kid. You can catch up to me someday.
Is that like
I don't speed. The phone is an issue for everybody. We all got to get better at that. What's bullshit though is when I'm doing my phone on my Bluetooth and I'm not holding it, why does it still penalize me?
Because I don't know. That's a
how does question. It know? How does it?
It just knows that your phone is in use. But I'm not holding it up to my head. I'm not texting. I'm literally talking to somebody over
CarPlay.
Yeah, that's what I'm using. Oof. I'm using the Apple CarPlay. Whatever.
Is that better than your Uber rating?
No, my Uber rating's elite.
Well, mine's still trying to recover from Las Vegas.
Me and Hassel.
Yeah.
Well, that's why when I know
bad driver.
I know if me and Hassel are involved, somebody else is getting the Uber. I'll pay for it, but we're using your account. My buddy Jeff Kelderman over at Kelderman Manufacturing, he makes badass truck accessories for you. He loves the diesels. You can go and check them out at kelderman.com. Also, for all of our engineers out there, they're high quality laser cutting services. I know they've done some work with our friends at Mechdyne as well. We love connecting all of the great advertisers we have here at Cyclone Fanatic. I want to get to the women's game, but let's knock out all the men's conversation and then get it. Do you have the Jerome Tang? So our boy,
send it in, Jerome.
Let's do our Wiffles Hybrids Big 12 segment here. Yeah. So this Kansas State
lost again.
Lost 4 in a row. They just lost to the worst team in the Big 12. Tonight they play Kansas, so we'll be rooting for our boy, Bill Self tonight in Manhattan. The irony and like this is a great quote, by the way. So Tang, keep talking, man, because you're good. You give us stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
This is great. You always are giving us content.
Yeah.
So they lose to Oklahoma State, and just there's so much irony in this quote from Jerome Tang. Let's hear what he had to say.
Losing is not fun. All right. Anytime you lose, right? It doesn't matter if it was we had won 10 in a row and then lost one. It doesn't matter. And like this is our movie, right? We can choose to be victims or we can choose to be stars. We're gonna choose to be stars in this movie. We're gonna be the one to determine how it turns out, not somebody else or the narrative or the obstacles that are in our way. Right. Die Hard wouldn't be great if Bruce Willis got killed in the first scene, right? When why me? No shoes, right? He gets killed. Movie wouldn't have been a great movie. He chose not to be a victim. We're gonna choose not to be a victim.
It's just odd because hasn't he been the victim, like creating this whole narrative for like 2 weeks now? Yeah. Oh, we lost to Iowa State. They're spying on our huddle. Oh, we lost to Houston. That ref is out to get us. Like, I mean, it's just really wild to hear him talking like that.
Yeah, talk about just a performative.
It's not very self-aware.
Do it like I saw that. I was like, is he like trying to be funny? I don't think he was. The last 3 weeks have been a highlight. Just watching because they're going to turn on him if they haven't already. You can't go lose to Oklahoma State. Now they're going to lose to Kansas again. Why we love Big 12 basketball. Hey, I appreciate Jerome Tang. Can I thank Jerome Tang? I'm going to thank Jerome Tang right now.
Yeah, go for it.
Just like it was so enjoyable to not like Norm Stewart. I learned cuss words thanks to Norm Stewart. He was the first person I cussed at. My dad's like, yeah, you should probably do that. Billy Tubbs, Danny Nee, all these guys. I'm probably forgetting somebody. Like you learned to dislike the other coach.
Eric Pikowski. Is he still playing for Fred now? Fred's got that team playing well, by the way. They almost won at Illinois last night.
But it's Eddie Sutton. It's good to have some. I like this.
Oh,
it
makes it
good.
way better.
Yeah, I mean, because you know what? Obviously, it's going to go there in March. It's going to be lively. I like it. It was lively at Baylor. We kind of have a love-hate thing with Scott Drew, and this is good. More salt the better. Like we don't need to be kumbaya. It's competition. Now you can take it too far, and I think Jerome with the whole spy thing that was way too far.
And he hasn't said anything since. So I think he feels like a reasonable human.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm just saying, like he hasn't doubled down on that thing.
No, he hasn't circled back. But
his family on Twitter is another story. Yeah. His sister, she keeps chirping at Iowa State fans.
I mean, you wouldn't want to talk about the game results, so you might as well
divert cheering
attention.
for Baylor on Twitter, which I get it. She's probably a Baylor fan. Her brother was there for like 100 years, but you can't also just ignore the elephant in the room.
It's just like
Kim.
I like rivalries. Just don't accuse people of cheating.
Especially coming off the Harbaugh thing.
Yeah,
like that made it worse.
Come on now. And it was so far-fetched. Like it gets more crazy by the day. Like we did what now? You're accusing Iowa State of doing what?
Well, and again,
it makes sense.
Yeah. And we don't need to get back to that.
I know, but it's just but hey, I will watch that game tonight. One reason why. Because I would like to see Bill Self beat Jerome, and I never in the world thought I would say that. I'm just going to watch the game. So thank you, Jerome.
Oh, I'm rooting for Kansas.
Yeah,
absolutely. Speaking of Kansas, dominant win over Houston. That didn't surprise me.
No, me either.
Kansas. The one thing Houston doesn't have, and we mentioned this when they came to Hilton, is they're still not used to these atmospheres. And
that place was ready to go.
When Kansas goes on the road, they're always this is less of a thing in the transfer portal era because you're flipping over the roster so much. But Self and those teams know what to expect. They are always the target.
Yep.
Houston is still not used to, we're a top 5 team going into Lawrence. That's a whole different deal. We're a top 5 team going into Ames.
Yep.
Compared to what they are used to.
It's no mystery they've now lost. I mean, all their losses have been on the road.
In big atmospheres.
In big atmospheres, right.
Cincinnati wins at Texas Tech. We're not believers in Texas Tech, right?
No, that went that as we thought. So real quick, on the do you want to play guess the
conference
championship odds? Because we had some movement. We got movement.
Well, Tech has dropped off after that loss.
Tech is now
like 4th or 5th.
A firm 5th.
Yeah. Okay. So
14,
they went from 2nd to 5th.
Yep. 14-1.
So 1 still is Houston, I think.
It is.
Yeah, and then 2 is Kansas.
It is.
And then 3 is Iowa State.
Correct.
Yeah. I've got my. I'm feeling pretty good right now.
So Iowa State is still, you're in strike. Like you gotta. Tuesday'd be big. Tomorrow will be big.
If you want to win the title,
yeah, you gotta win.
Which is also complicated here because that's what we should be thinking about. We shouldn't be rooting for Kansas, but
that's fact. You should probably root against Kansas. But I emotion.
I was impressed with BYU. I thought they were going to lose at West Virginia. I thought that long trip, West Virginia is a pretty tough place, and they dominated them.
I said I made me look smart from Wednesday. I said, hey, I'm still on the BYU train.
Good pull.
Thank you.
Is Central Florida the most impressive as far as expectations to results team in the Big 12 this year? I think I could make an argument for that.
They've held their own, which is
done really well.
They are very athletic. They don't score it great, but if they're making shots, they're good enough defensively that they can win some games. I think they've done a nice job.
We were right on Oklahoma to fade them. We told you to do that weeks ago. Hope you guys listened. And then again, Texas is a bit of a weird. I don't understand that team this year, where they went on the road and then they lose at home. Again, they beat Baylor by 2 at home. They lost to Central Florida at home. They lost to Texas Tech at home. They have wins at Cincinnati, at Oklahoma, and now at TCU. They also lost to Houston at home.
Yeah, that win for them on they look good.
Yeah.
They look really good on Saturday against a good TCU team.
They will be 2-point favorite over Iowa State.
Probably 2 to 3.
Yeah.
It's a game roster-wise, Iowa State's roster is better. Now, their home court, it's better than it used to be, although it doesn't illustrate that with their record at home this year. It's just one of those games, C-Dub. Again, I think Iowa State's guards can get to the rim and get some points. You got to prevent, and it's crazy to say, but the Tyrese Hunter, Max Abmas 3-point game.
Yeah.
Tyrese is going to be fired up. There's no love lost still between
I'm trying to think of
Stavs.
Crossover with the Stavs hate each other. Because then you had Terry last year getting in Oshun and Jaren's face.
Yeah.
And that didn't go over well in the old Suka practice facility.
Right.
I can promise you that. Why does Rodney Terry always coach up other teams' players? I don't understand this. What gives that man the right to tell another guy's player how to act? Like, it is insane. That would be like me going to 247 and being like, hey, to Payne, who works there, right? Payne, my guy Payne. I love Payne. Hey, you little shit.
Figure it out, man.
You need to act more professional in the media room. No, I would never do that to them. Like, what gives this man the right to constantly be doing this to other teams' players? He does it all the time.
It's the same thing with he's firing up his own fan base by doing that.
You're right.
Well, that's all it is. It's all pandering.
And this horns down thing. Like, why do we treat it like it's this offensive slur? I don't understand this. What world are we living in?
All right. I'm the deep throwback for everybody here. See, Aiden, if you can pull this up. 2005, Iowa State at Texas. Okay. This was the Jared Holman Tashid Carr game.
Okay.
It's the first time Iowa State won at Texas. And this
spiked it on the logo.
And Tashid Carr stomped on the logo. Epic time. This is probably the last time Iowa State's going to play there for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, probably ever.
Are you against somebody stomping on the Longhorn logo?
I would love
just like, hey, let's go.
Staring down Tyrese Hunter at the same time.
So, quick story. On that game, we get inside
Jones would be the guy, right? Big Rob energy.
Big Rob would. I could see that.
Big Rob, and he's flexing.
I could see Keyshawn doing it.
I just don't know if Keyshawn, being from Vegas, if he hates Texas enough. That's it. Like, where's the crossover with Hunter?
And Taman's too nice. He wouldn't do anything.
It is wild though when you think about that trade.
Oh,
And I think you'd rather have Taman, no doubt, right? Like as your point
no,
guard.
oh yeah, not.
It's just wild how that worked out
It
because
is
at the
crazy.
time,
We thought the sky was falling. Yeah. But anyway, on that game, just real quick inside scoop. Iowa State, when it went to Texas in 2005, won the game. Jared Holman, because Iowa State was on this is 100% true. This is how crazy. It was a 4-year run. I think it was 4 years in a row. Iowa State did not win a road game in the Big 12. Think about that. 4 years in a row, didn't win a road game. So Holman was a senior. Holman had a bottle of champagne he took with him on the road just in case Iowa State would win a road game. He was going to break it open. So, as luck would have it, Iowa State wins in overtime. Shahid Carr goes absolutely bananas. Holman breaks out the champagne in the locker room. They drink it in the locker room. But even better, Iowa State's flight got canceled because of snow back in Ames. And so Wayne Morgan, who was the coach, said, "Gentlemen, go have fun on 6th Street."
Oh God. Holman.
And as the story goes,
did Holman like flip over a car or something?
I don't know. But from what I heard, people who are on the trip, they were headed in for the evening at like midnight. And Holman and Broman, or it wasn't Broman at the time, Holman and somebody were going out. Like they were going out for round 2. So they had a good time. But anyway, bring it back.
I love me some Jared Holman.
I love him.
All-time favorite Cyclone, I think.
I'd say somebody needs to at least just dance on the logo.
I did a Where Are They Now type deal with him probably 10 years ago. And he was in Greece playing.
He's dating like supermodels and stuff.
Oh yeah, he's all of our hero.
But yeah, Tashid Carr, that was a Tashid Carr game. My man.
Gotta love the Tashid Carr game.
Yes.
Let's thank a couple more of our sponsors, specifically our friends at the Ivy College of Business at Iowa State. The dean, we love the great Dean Spalding there. Bloom spoke to a bunch of their students. We want to encourage people.
Going up there today.
Oh wow! Again,
we got round 2 of the consulting.
I want to encourage you, if you're out there and you've thought about getting that MBA, you could do it 100% online. You could do it around your schedule. It's really, really, I think, a hidden gem for a lot of people that want to advance their careers. So consider our friends at the Ivy College of Business you don't even have to step on campus. You got kids, don't worry about it. You can do your work at night.
Yep. So you can be online, and then they also have a great program down here in Des Moines too.
Absolutely. It's a fantastic piece. And then we just did our Wiffles Hybrid segment. Want to give our shout out to our friends at Wiffles Hybrids. Plant your independence, plant Wiffles. Planting season, believe it or not, just around the corner. We usually get the March Madness and just a little bit after that, around that time. The Iowa State women lose at Oklahoma, at Central Florida. All of our women's coverage presented by our friends at Caliber Iowa. Check them out at caliberiowa.com. We're in a Caliber Iowa building right now. It's where we house our Cyclone Fanatic studios. Beautiful property management. They have luxury rental properties and professionally built apartments all over the metro. Of course, they've got homes. Go to caliberiowa.com. You can check out all of their listings around Central Iowa and beyond. The women they've hit a wall, I think, with the freshmen. This was quite predictable.
Mm-hmm.
They're still 7-4,
mm-hmm.
Still in a good spot. It's just, how do you bounce out of the wall? Take care of business at home though, Brent, and you're gonna have a good shot to still be in the tournament, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, net ranking, just pulling it up here. The loss to
that
UCF did not.
Central Florida was
help.
1-8.
However, you didn't move. Again, losing road games, it's just not going to hurt you. You went down a spot. Obviously, it's 39th. So you're very much in the conversation.
I hope that this week off helps. They have a week off, and hopefully it gets the legs back.
Yeah, I think it's a young team this is a grind. Like you're doing it really for the first time for these folks. But yeah, it was just a tough one because UCF is just not a team that that game's in Hilton. I think Iowa State probably wins by double digits. It didn't click, and then UCF at home got some confidence in the second half and rode the momentum. But it's a big game for Iowa State. You get the week off, and then Oklahoma is very good.
Yeah,
and then Saturday at 6:00.
So the next 2 games are really key because then you get Kansas State at home,
and they're really good too.
Well, the Audie as a matchup to Okoye Lee is fascinating.
She's not back yet.
She's not.
Lee, I think she got hurt.
Her time frame lines up with
plan.
I mean, this was when she had surgery.
Yeah,
2 or 3 weeks ago or whatever it was 4 weeks. And of course, 4 weeks was
right on the
that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
so
really
I
important.
could see her not playing because they play him twice in like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, the other one is on February. So they play him on the 14th and on the 28th.
Her availability will greatly determine how that game goes. I think Aoka Lee is
Aoka. I called her Akoya.
Right. She's a superstar, and she's physical and big, and would.
God, seems like she's been there forever.
Well, she has.
I called a game in Manhattan her freshman year.
Did you really?
Yeah, that feels like it was forever ago.
And that's where
4 years.
But you're right. If Iowa State, you got to use Hilton Magic to your advantage because these are 2 games. They're both really talented, and if you can get them both, then you put yourself in a really good spot again. Because then you got to go down to Austin, and that's going to be hard. So there's opportunities here for this team. I do think it's a nice time to get a kind of catch yourself, get reacquainted. Hopefully, Addie's been dealing with some sickness. I'm sure everybody's dinged up. You saw Audie took a couple hard falls in that UCF game. This is new. This is new for a lot of them, but I do like the makeup of this team, and I think Emily Ryan's continuing to play well. So I do think there's another run for this group, and hopefully it starts on Saturday.
Feels like if you sweep Oklahoma and Kansas, and then just do what you're supposed to do the rest of the way, you're going to be in the tournament. Yeah, excuse me, Kansas State.
I agree with that.
But if you split, then you have to win at Houston.
Yeah, and Houston's okay, but that should be a game Iowa State could win.
I know, but now you got to make up after the Central Florida loss.
That's one. And honestly, Oklahoma has been the surprise for me. They've reeled off now.
I think they'll win that game.
They've won 5 in a row.
I think they'll beat Oklahoma. The Kansas State game is really, really important. That's the game. All these games, they need crowds, and they'll get crowds. But that Kansas State game, if they're a top 5 team coming in on Valentine's Day, like that place has to be hopping.
Yeah, let's fill them up for Saturday too. Yes. And again, what we saw, I went up last Wednesday. That crowd lifted them big time.
And Saturday's one of those doubleheader days, so it should be a really big crowd. Should
be great. So we'll see everybody up there. And again, I think for them, regroup. I still like this group a lot. I still think they can make the tournament, but you got to protect Hilton.
We got to wrap up because we have another show coming on here, but we've got the football party coming up on Wednesday, and then it's Brock Purdy Super Bowl week. We'll do more of that on Wednesday's pod, but it is quite surreal still.
It is.
That all this Super Bowl coverage is kind of starting right now. So, but I was talking with Hassel, who's there doing shows for CBS all week. Purdy, and then you've got.
Oh, he's a Toyota man.
Yeah, you got the Kelsey Taylor Swift thing a little bit, and then Mahomes is it's kind of like Brady at this point where he's going to get his, but Purdy's the number 1 media story.
Mm-hmm.
He is. And he's a very likable guy. As you mentioned with the Toyota thing, I'm really interested to see how the week plays out. If they lose, is he still the target of national media? I don't know how it's going to play out, but this is if he wins the Super Bowl, you have more insight on this than most. It's just the power of what that means for Iowa State football is great. Really, especially you get the Mansky kid last week. Iowa State's in-state recruiting on the quarterback trail is incredible. They are on a hot streak right now.
Yep.
I'm guessing Brock Purdy is already making a difference, but man, just the free press this week is great for Iowa State.
And it's hard to know the direct impact, but anytime you can associate yourself with a Super Bowl winning quarterback who's a good dude, is a good thing. And man, I'm excited but nervous at the same time. It's just like,
I'm going to be really a basket case watching that game.
It's gonna be because it's crazy because I remember after Brock's freshman year, this is how much it's changed. He came into I was at the Iowa State Foundation, and we brought in a couple athletes to speak about leadership. And Brock was the shy 19-year-old, just kind of like he would walk in and you're like, that's Brock Purdy. Like he looks like Aiden, you know. We're like that's. But yeah, and now he's the superstardom. Then he could be a Super Bowl winning.
Smith's buying your jersey.
Right? Ozzie Smith's buying. It's so cool. The fact that he still comes back, gives back, and wants to help out Iowa State too. It just adds to it. But man, he has a chance to do something literally nobody from Iowa State has ever done before. And that's win a Super Bowl as a quarterback. And what does it do for recruiting? I'm not sure. What does help is not only you got Brock now, but then Rocco is in that same continue. So now it's become like, okay, wait a second. This isn't just a one-time thing. I mean, I do believe Nate Shieldhouse is a really good quarterback developer as well. And then not to mention Kyle Kempt, Jake Waters are also on that staff. And both are, I think, rising stars in this business too.
Looking forward to I'm really not looking forward to, I was saying off season of breaking down football, but I'm not ready for the off season.
No, we got basketball, baby.
Yeah, we got a lot of basketball. And we got, of course, your big night coming up on Wednesday. Again, what did you say? Like 30 tickets left. So if you want to get in on this, get after it
right now. And then again, I will post something on, and everybody around the country can bid on some really, really cool items that we'll put up here later today.
All right. He is Brent Blum. Thanks to Abe and Wyatt for producing today's.
We got the Longhorn Network.
Oh, yes. Yes. How do we watch?
How do we watch it, Aiden?
So last year, I'll tell you what I did last year. I don't know if I downloaded Sling and got a free trial.
That's the route that I went.
Okay.
I don't think there's a free trial right now.
Oh, so you just got to pay like $8.
Well,
no, it's way more than that.
It's going to be like $50. So what you got to do is have a party. Invite some friends over, split a pay-per-view. It's basically like fight night, except basketball in the Big 12.
But you have to get the Sling.
That's the best way that I can find, because you have to get the orange package.
Jesus.
And then there's like a sports add-on or something for $11, and that totals to
At what
$51.
point do we just listen to John and Eric?
There's also that.
Honestly, like,
what? Who? This is it. Longhorn Network is going away.
Yeah, I mean, this is your last chance to, or what? Not chance. This is your last time you have to do this.
It actually might feel good to buy it and then just cancel and be like, I'm out. Like Costanza. I'm never doing this again. I'm out. Longhorn Network. And we don't encourage.
The guys on our chat are strongly, English and Jeff are both saying that there's no way they're watching the Longhorn Network.
Support J-Dub. I agree with that, English.
It's also available on Dish and DirecTV, I believe.
Okay.
I used to have Dish, and I don't like. Anymore.
I would even go to like a local place here. Does anybody have it?
I don't know if there is.
If there's a place and you guys have Longhorn Network, let us know. We will get you some free business as long as you carry Ames Lager and Cody Road.
Thank you.
A lot of qualifiers.
Yeah.
Better have Cody Road, because anytime Iowa State and Texas play, I feel like it's more of a whiskey night.
No, it is. I just get uncomfortable.
All right,
Tito's down.
If you're pouring out your Tito's, don't buy Longhorn Network, says Jeff.
Well done, Jeff. And Jeff's in Texas.
Yeah, well played. Well played, my friend. All right, thanks, guys. We appreciate it. We will be back on Wednesday. We'll do our regular show on Wednesday, as we'll be counting down the hours till the recruiting party, and then we will have the reaction to the Iowa State-Texas game. So that's all coming up. What else is coming up on the podcast network? We got Let 'Em Cook.
Let 'Em Cook this afternoon.
I'm sure that those guys are just amped.
Yeah, they were pretty excited to record after Saturday.
Yeah, they were just pissed off like everybody else. Okay.
And then Kicking It.
And then Title IX records tonight.
Yep.
Whew.
So
we got a loaded week. Loaded network.
Welcome to February.
Coming up this week. All right. For Brent Blum, for Abe Wyatt, I'm Chris Williams. Have a great rest of your Monday.